like to mention, I don't know if this answers the question or not. We really, or I was in my mind looking for almost anybody to be a student. You know, no particular requirements, just somebody that was kind of excited about the field. But, you know, we have had such a growth of these programs across the country. There are now almost 600 programs that have degrees and certifications in either emergency management or Homeland Security. And there's about 100 more under development in emergency management, about another 100 under development in Homeland Security. So the growth is set. But what I want all of you all in this room to know that you might not know is that Arkansas Tech University has led throughout this process. And I'm so proud of today the work that Sandy's doing. I'm sorry, Dr. Smith.
No, Sandy.
Okay. Sandy's doing with core, you know, setting core capabilities for the profession, working on that, working really hard all the time to improve the accreditation program for emergency management degree programs, those kinds of things. And I always look forward to the higher education conference in emergency management every year at EMI. And how that got started had an Arkansas Tech start to it too, because Marianne Rollans, as she was establishing the program here, ran out of materials to teach, for her professors to teach. So she called Wayne Blanchard, who was our director of the higher ed program at FEMA, at EMI, and she said, okay, Mr. Blanchard, Dr. Blanchard, we've taught everything that FEMA's given us to teach. What do we teach now? And he said, well, you know, I'll contact the professors that are developing the courses, and I'll on and on. Marianne called him again. What, have you gotten any materials yet for us? And, you know, maybe a third time she called him. He called me and he said, okay, you're going to have to get that woman from Arkansas off my back. And I said, well, what is her complaint? And he said, well, she's saying, and it's kind of true, that they've taught everything that they have, that we have given them to teach, and so now what do? Why don't you call or email the professors that we've contracted with to develop these courses and tell them what the situation is? He said, oh, they have long ago stopped taking my phone calls and answering my emails. And I said, well, you know what we ought to do? We ought to bring the professors that we have contracts with developing these courses together with the professors that are delivering the courses, so they can get to know each other and understand how vital it is that they speed up this course development. And so he said, oh, I like that idea. Do you think you can get that approved? And I said, I'm pretty sure I can. I hope I can. So I talked to Director Witt, and he was all for it, absolutely. And he said, the only thing is, I'm not going to be able to give you any new money for the conference, the travel for the conference. And that was unusual for FEMA because usually they paid travel there, meals while there, and put them up in FEMA dormitories. And so he said, you know, let's see how it goes. So the first year we had 80 professors show up. So that was what we thought was quite successful. The next year we had 150 people show up. We've had as many as 400 since then, but it runs around 250 to 350 every year. And thanks to Marianne for jogging us into that, and thanks to Sandy and Hack and the others for really continuing to use that as a platform to lead the profession academically. Well, I'm developing a regret. I regret that I didn't have Marianne talk to every other person who called me and said, we'd like to start a degree program, because I think she had such a practical, common sense approach to it. And so many of the others were approaching it in more of a theoretical, abstract way. And I congratulate Arkansas Tech because, you know, with the dean starting it, it was so much easier here in a way. She was able to quickly get the president's attention and of Tech and his support. I mean, she had President Clinton and James Lee, I mean, no problem, you know. But, you know, getting the attention on the institution, on the campus itself, was the key to a large part of the early success she drove. I wish that I had realized earlier that, you know, there were things that we could have done when it was, in some institutions, started by a sole professor who was not teaching in emergency management, but teaching a related field that was trying to start the degree program. If I could have connected Mary Ann with them to talk about it, you know, I think that would have been better. But that's one that I just realized just now.
Know your organization, know where the movers and the shakers are, because there are always people that will be the key individuals. And I said it to visiting earlier about relationships. Don't burn any bridges behind you. You never know who's going to be that person who will be the key toward getting something done that will make you successful. So around this room, you've made associations with colleagues, and you will continue that because they're going to be in common fields. There are going to be areas that you will be working in that you can say, I knew him when. I knew this person 30 years ago. I knew him at Arkansas Tech. I knew what she was able to do. So those are the things that I would advise you to do. Keep those relationships up, burn the bridges, and keep a contact list. Keep those business cards. You will never, you may never remember that person until the time is right, and you'll say, oh, I remember she was the one that was working with, James Lee Witt's organization, Annette Cockrell. I knew Jeanette when we were at Tech together. Now her son's going to be in an area, so those things just build, and it's like a domino effect when you have those associations.
I would encourage you to do as well if you have an opportunity and you can do it. When Adam here in Arkansas has their state conference for all the 75 counties, I would encourage you to sign up and participate, because what you can do at this, then you're going to meet other emergency managers across the state, and you can network, and you can learn, and you can build even new and a lot broader relationship with people. So I would encourage you to do that, in whatever state you're from. And then, if you ever get the opportunity, I would participate in the NEMA conference sometime, the National Emergency Management Association. And then one of the largest hurricane conferences that we have in the United States is the Governor's Hurricane Conference in Florida, which is larger actually than the National Hurricane Conference. And so, like when David Maxwell was president of NEMA, they had the national conference in Little Rock, Arkansas. So look at the conferences that come up, and expand your relationships and your network. That's what I would encourage you to do.